We have come to expect gorgeous nights like this lately here from downtown Seattle at Safeco Field. So glad you could join us for Mariners baseball on Root Sports as the Mariners wrap up this 8-game homestand. Right now 4-3, guaranteed at least a .500 stand as they aim for a series win against the first place Kansas City Royals after a win last night behind, as you just heard, a brilliant performance by Mike Montgomery. The Mariners have taken the field, and Mike, how about a look at tonight's starting lineup for the Kansas City Royals?
Leading things off, it will be Escobar. Then Moustakas off to a great start this year, hitting .327. You can see what he's done this month. .342 average, 4 doubles, and 12 RBIs. The DH, Kendrys Morales, had one of the 4 hits last night. He will be the DH hitting third. Hosmer, Perez, and Gordon in the middle of the lineup. Rios, Infante, and Jared Dyson will play center field and bat ninth for Kansas City. For Elias on the year, looking for his 5th win, a .356 ERA, 55 strikeouts, 23 walks, over 68 in the third. Opponents hitting .249. He's given up 9 home runs this year. And our American Family Insurance defensive setup, Franklin Gutierrez, good to have him back with the glove. He will get the start in left field. Jackson in center, Mark Trumbo out in right. Seager the third baseman, Miller and Cano playing up the middle. Morrison at first base, and Mike Zunino will do the catching. Franklin Gutierrez, used to seeing him in center field, but it sounds as if he's going to play against left-handers and play the corner outfield spots while for his time that he's up here with Seattle.
A lot of left field with Tacoma also DHing for the Rainiers. Good to see Goody back in the outfield. So here is Elias all ready to go, facing Alcides Escobar to begin things, and he jumps on the first pitch. Soft fly ball to Trumbo. 1 pitch and 1 out. Nice start for Elias and company.
And no surprise, Kansas City, one of the more aggressive teams that you're going to see. Again, they walk? No, not very much. Strikeout? Not very much. The reason why is they're going to be swinging the bats early in counts. Mike Montgomery was spectacular last night. Take a look at Elias and what he did in his last start against the Astros. 7 innings, just 2 earned runs. A couple of solo home runs, but he had 10 strikeouts in that one.
Elias so far this season in the big leagues in 11 starts has allowed 3 runs or fewer in 9 of them. The consistency from Elias has been spectacular so far this season. And he's quickly ahead of Moustakas 0-2. Ned Yost, after taking this Royals team all the way to Game 7 of the World Series, and Moustakas down on 3 pitches.
This is something that you're going to see quite a bit tonight. The Royals deciding to put 4 left-handed hitters in the lineup. And when that happens, Elias typically will change his arm angle, drop down a little bit. Good breaking ball off the plate away. 3 pitches to put away Moustakas. Good look at our Alaska Supermo. Mike Zunino catching this ball well off the plate away. You can see how far out in front he was. Just 82 miles an hour on that breaking ball.
2 up, 2 down, now facing Kendrys Morales in the midst of a 7-game hitting streak. For Elias, tonight marks his 3rd career start against Kansas City. Faced him twice last year, once in May, then later in June. Overall in his career last season, that's all it spans for Elias. 4 earned runs over about 12 innings against the Royals. Last night, only the 5th time this season Kansas City has been shut out. Mike referenced their hitting numbers. Now the 2nd best hitting team in baseball, as they were edged by the Detroit Tigers after Mike Montgomery was just sensational last night.
Held him to just 4 hits last night. Morales ended up getting a base hit in the 9th inning. He was 1 for 4. And they're hoping for the same from Elias tonight. Elias, his average fastball will be 91 miles an hour. We talked about his curveball. That'll be about 79, and of course the changeup.
To shallow right, Cano giving away to Trumbo. 3 up, 3 down, and a fine start for Roenis Elias here tonight in the series finale against Kansas City. We go to the bottom of the 1st inning. The Royals nothing. The Mariners coming up. Franklin Gutierrez recalled today from AAA Tacoma. We will see him in the spot of the first inning as the Mariners and the Royals are scoreless in the series finale against Kansas City. And Mike, a look at tonight's Mariners starting lineup.
Mariners starting lineup brought to you by Chevron. Leading off it will be Austin Jackson. Then hitting second, playing left field, Franklin Gutierrez. First major league game since September 27, 2013. Cano's been a hot hitter. He will bat third. Cruz, Seager, and Trumbo in the middle of the lineup. Morrison drops down to hitting seventh. Zunino and Miller round out the nine for the Mariners.
Danny Duffy's first pitch of the big leagues in 39 days is a strike. Duffy sidelined with bicep tendonitis. Entered this year really as the Royals' #2 starter behind Giordano Ventura, who's on the disabled list.
And this year, you can take a look at his record. 2.3 ERA is high for him. A 5.87 ERA, 30 strikeouts over 38 in the third. Opponent's hitting almost 300 off of him.
And a strike to Jackson. We've been told that Duffy is expected to throw somewhere between 80 and 85 pitches. He made 2 rehab starts in the minor leagues because of the bicep tendonitis. But when he was on the disabled list, he joined Jason Vargas and Giordano Ventura. The Royals with 3 starters on the DL until today. Now they only have 2. But this is a 26-year-old lefty, Mike, that when he is right, he has a very lively fastball.
Well, if you look at his numbers this year before he went on the disabled list, his average fastball was right around 94 miles an hour. We've already seen 97 a couple of times here this evening. And that has been his problem when you look at his numbers. ERA well over 5. Tough time with his breaking ball. Not able to throw his slider for strikes. His changeup hasn't been there, so he's had to throw his fastball a lot, and his fastball was getting hit. A little bit different story tonight if he's going to be at 96, 97.
2-2 to Jackson. Line drive, base hit, drops into the gap. Austin Jackson started things off right. A wide turn at first. And a leadoff single. And he hit that right of the screws.
Take a look at our American Family Insurance defensive setup for Kansas City. The Gold Glover, Gordon out in left field. Dyson getting the start in center. So Kane the night off. Rios in right. Moustakas in third. Escobar and Infante playing up the middle. Eric Hosmer, really good defensive first baseman. And then Salvador Perez will do the catching.
And here is Franklin Gutierrez. First time in a long time. September of 2013, the last time we saw him here in the big leagues with the Mariners. Perez able to stay with it. Ball 1. Gutierrez put up some nice numbers with the Rainiers. At nearly 320, 7 home runs, just over 30 RBIs. Of course, the issue for Gutierrez, as we all know, is just staying healthy, staying on the field when he is healthy, and when he is right, he has been one of the most productive players for the Mariners, both offensively and certainly Gold Glove quality defense in the outfield. And the Mariners at the AAA level alternating between left field and DH with the Rainiers. And when the question was asked to Gutierrez how many days in consecutive order he could play, it was a little bit of a, well, I guess we'll find out.
It's a situation that Lloyd McClendon is going to have to manage with him. The hope is that he can consistently play against left-handed pitching, so he should get time off. He's going to play the corner outfield spots.
Shattered bat, hooking, foul.
I think for me, because we haven't seen him in a long time, is you're basically going off of the scouting reports and the numbers that he put up in AAA. As we take a look at this swing, again, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Duffy is throwing hard tonight. But Franklin, good numbers in AAA, was productive down there. But I think as far as his health goes, Aaron, that's going to be something that you're just going to have to wait and see on. I think he can help them, though.
And the key that you brought up is he's not brought up and seen as an everyday guy.
No.
This is a situational player. And Lloyd said that he asks of Franklin what he asks of all of his players, and that is to be honest with them regarding his health. is he good enough to play on any given night? That's going to be one of the real keys for Gutierrez staying on the field, is really being healthy with the training, or being honest rather, with the training staff.
Well, and you can see Duffy testing him out right here in the first inning. He's throwing his fastball again. He's been 95 to 97 miles an hour, but the fastball's in on his hands. Seeing if he can catch up to it.
Really keeping an eye there on Austin Jackson to let things off with a single to left center.
And Aaron, you have to, when you look at his average speeds before he went on the disabled list and to see what he's doing tonight, you have to wonder if that bicep was really bothering him, because his velocities tonight, he's 3-4 miles an hour harder tonight.
Now, he's a power lefty, there's no question. Soft pop up, and Fate out number 1.
I was talking to Lloyd McClendon today about Duffy, and I said with the struggles he's had just coming off the disabled list, it looks pretty good for your offense. That they had a great night last night. And he said to me, he goes, it's what's concerning to me, because I've seen Duffy when he is really good, and he can be a real problem for you. And right here in the first inning, throwing 97 is an indicator that he feels a lot better than he was earlier this season.
And you bring up a good point. Lloyd would have seen him a number of times during his hitting coach days with the Tigers in the Central, same division as the Royals, as you see this fastball at 96.
And that's what he was talking about when he was with the Tigers, seeing him. So again, he's had issues with his breaking ball and his changeup. And Austin Jackson ended up getting a base hit on the changeup. But again, his velocities are up from where they were before he went on the disabled list.
In an effort to show more command of the fastball, Duffy has altered his mechanics a little bit, as he's setting higher before coming home. And he said that really by watching Wade Davis, one of the rock stars of the Royals bullpen, he's really patterned his mechanics in some ways off of Davis. Cano not pleased with that call. You can see maybe a bit wide. But Duffy had really a pretty serviceable month of April. An ERA right around 3.5 as the Royals' number 2 starter, but then was shelled in the month of May. 14 earned runs in less than 10 innings, spanning 3 starts, and then went on the DL.
It's one of the harder adjustments to make when you're used to having the good fastball. All of a sudden it isn't there. Then your off-speed pitches become more important. And if you look at his fastball this year, opponents are hitting 387 off of his fastball. I don't think it's the fastball we're seeing tonight.
Although he doesn't have the 6'4" frame of James Paxton and straight over the top, these are the velocities we see from Paxton when his fastball really baffles opposing hitters. One out, Jackson at first base with a leadoff single. Duffy had Tommy John back in 2012. He had very limited starts, as you might imagine, that year, and then into 2013 as well. When Duffy was in the minor leagues, he actually retired from baseball for a brief period of time, of only about 3 months, before deciding to come back and be a member of the Royals minor league farm system. But he made his big league debut pretty young back in 2011, only 22 years old. One of the top prospects for the Royals at the time. Jackson leads at first. We have really seen Robinson Cano start to swing the bat well. Last 8 games, 10 hits. 4 of those for extra bases, 1 a home run. And we know that when Cano is seeing the ball well, he is a pure double hitter.
Well, watching him, especially over the last 4 or 5 games, even when he's making his outs, for the most part, he's able to get the barrel to the ball, and that's a pretty good indicator. But another good fastball at 96 miles an hour right on the outside corner. You can see Duffy reaching back for a little extra on that fastball, but it was well located. Take a look at his windup. You can see how high his glove is, up by his ear, which Aaron was talking about. And then in our Alaska Supermo, you see him come right back over the top. A lot of arm speed to get that kind of fastball at 95, 97 miles an hour.
2 outs, Jackson at first. It brings in Nelson Cruz. One of the amazing things about the success of the Royals so far this year, we mentioned Ventura, their #1 starter, right now on the disabled list with a nerve issue. Duffy just coming off the DL for the first time in about 40 days. Their #1 and 2 starters have combined for 5 wins this year for Kansas City. It's been impressive. Obviously, the offense has helped to carry them, their bullpen as well, but the rotation for the Royals this year has not been quite up to par as what you might imagine it would have been coming out of spring training.
Take a look at the fastball and how he has struggled this year. See, last year opponents hitting just .210 against his fastball. This year, .387. That's 6th highest. And how about slugging? .548 slugging compared to .334 last year. And again, looking at the numbers and where his average fastball has been this year, I don't think it's the fastball that the Mariners are going to see tonight. He again has been in that 93, 94 mile an hour range tonight. Stopped out at 97. Which is what we're used to seeing from Duffy, that kind of fastball.
Hosmer running out of room.
He has all the pitches. You can see his fastball. He'll throw it at 62%. This year, he's thrown more sliders than curveballs. Rarely throws his curveball at all. And, of course, the changeup at 12%.
Slider's been a good pitch. Opponents barely hitting 160 against it. Over 20 pitches to get 2 outs so far for Duffy. And now time is called. .97 miles an hour missing, 2-2. Hits it hard, but foul. Well, Mike, we mentioned the pitch count. The expected pitch count for Duffy, 80 to 85 pitches, and he's approaching 25 here in the first inning.
Well, and what I'm seeing from him tonight, that's a good thing for the Mariners. He has exceptional stuff tonight. Still a little bit wild, doesn't have great command of it, but he may settle in and get there. But hopefully by that time, he'll just about be done at 80, 85 pitches. It's the 24th pitch for him right here.
And Perez able to hold on to it, 96. And with that, the Mariners are retired. Duffy picks up a couple of strikeouts, both on high velocity fastballs. We're through 1 inning. Mariners and the Royals scoreless. Rubber game of this 3-game series. We take a look at what's coming up for the Mariners. A day off tomorrow, and then it's off to Anaheim. Taijuan Walker looking to continue what has been just a phenomenal role. And then the King. Garrett Richards, never easy. Middle game of that series. Matt Shoemaker, surprising to see Shoemaker struggle as much as he had so far this year.
No, you're right. And you can see even with Santiago and where his ERA is, typically he's been wild at times. And obviously has figured a few things out this year.
And Santiago was a guy that was back and forth in the rotation of the bullpen last year. Loud strike one on Hosmer. Hopper right to Cano for round number 1. And we know that Elias loves his curveball, and for good reason, Mike, especially this month.
Well, and we're going to see it quite a bit, but you can see just an 0.53 batting average against just one hit out of the 64 curveballs that he has thrown. Only 6 of them put in play. And I think tonight with the 4 left-handers Kansas City has put in the lineup, you're going to see his curveball quite a bit.
1 up, 1 down, now facing Salvador Perez. And Mike, I suppose the question for tonight, as you look into your crystal ball as to what will happen over the next 8 innings, is after last night's performance by Mike Montgomery, who has the advantage now? Because for the Royals, this is their 2nd straight game facing a lefty, and a lefty with a good changeup. Montgomery's was off the charts good last night. We know Elias has a fine one as well. Or is it Elias who has the advantage because he picked up what you'd have to imagine to be a pretty good blueprint from that man right there?
Well, I think obviously the blueprint was almost perfect last night. But the key is Elias will have to go out and execute it. And that's always the case. We showed the numbers on his curveball. He's pitched extremely well, even with his changeup. An advantage, Aaron, I think, comes when you have a lineup where maybe you have 2 spots in your lineup that are changing. You have a couple of guys that are going to play against left-handers and a couple of guys that are going to play against the righties. I think at that point, fine running catch by Jackson. I think at that point, you would give that club an advantage because those guys that are just going to face left-handers, like, for example, tonight, the Mariners, they have Billy Harris in the lineup. They're going to feel better the second day out there. So I think there's an. But when you look at Kansas City, they really don't change their lineup. And in fact, in their lineup tonight, they don't have a key right-handed bat in there, which is Kane, Lorenzo Kane, their center fielder, who was batting 3rd last night. So I think the advantage goes to Elias if he can execute his pitches.
Manager Ned Yost today said that Kane suffered the slightest hamstring injury tracking down that ball put in play by Ackley. Seager has to get rid of it, and he does. Not much time there. Alex Gordon going with the slide. Shades of Eric Hosmer in the World Series. Lomo the squeeze on the other end. Fine play by Kyle Seager. 6 up, 6 down for Roenis Elias. big catch and some pretty quick transferring skills here, Mike, by Kyle Seager.
Well, the ball bounces off the plate. Kyle gets himself in good position. You can see him set his feet before he was able to catch the ball, and that ended up being the difference. Quick snap throw to first. Good hustle by Gordon, but he is out. Good play by Kyle, and he will lead off here in the second inning.
Pops up the first pitch from Duffy. Moustakas, all kinds of time. Out number one.
And Aaron, you were talking about advantages. The one thing I would say is I looked at this series. It's Kansas City. It's hard to explain why, but they are 10-13 against left-handed starters. Against right-handed starters, they are 30-15, 15 games over 500. So they've had a lot more success against righties. And again, you look at their lineup tonight, they have four left-handed hitters in their lineup tonight.
That is interesting. Here is Trumbo. This has been a really tough stretch for the Mariners. It would be a tough stretch for any team tonight, marking part of a 13 straight game stretch against clubs with a winning record. And the Royals, you kind of put even above that. They're in an upper echelon. Same with the Houston Astros. So back-to-back first-place teams faced by the Mariners. And the polar opposites. The Astros strike out more than any team in baseball. Then the Royals come to town. They strike out far and away fewest of any team in baseball.
Well, we talked about it. The reason why is they're so aggressive. They're trying to put the ball in play early in counts, and that can be really good for you if you're the pitcher, or really bad depending on how the ball is bouncing on a given day. And so far this year, again, the Royals, #2 hitting club in the American League, it's really gone their way.
Trumbo picked up his first homer as a Mariner earlier on this homestand off of Dallas Keuchel. Just gets a piece back to the glove of Perez. Uses the changeup that time. 2 outs rather. Watch the Mariners in style on the exclusive Terrace Club level. View the game from your seats or step inside the lounge, complete with a full bar, specialty concession stands, and plenty of TVs, so you don't miss a pitch. For more information, check out mariners.com/premium. Well, Duffy has struck out 3 of the last 4 hitters that he's faced now, dating back to the first inning. Strike 1 to Lomo. It away, and Logan Morrison picks up the base hit. The Royals didn't have the shift on per se. They had the infield tilted a little bit. Infante was deep into shallow right, and Lomo goes the other way.
Well, take a look at Logan, able to keep his hands back. This is a breaking ball, just 83 miles an hour, and going with the pitch. Not an easy thing to do when Duffy's throwing 95 to 97 miles an hour. But a good swing by Logan to pick up that base hit going the other way.
Two outs. Lomo at first for Mike Zunino. It was nice to see Zunino last night, an RBI single that snapped an 0-for-14 skid for Mike, and hits have been hard to come by this month for Zunino, so hopefully that is a sign of things to come for the Mariners catcher. Two. No doubt lots of time with Edgar Martinez. Mariners 4-3 on this homestand, which wraps up today. So no matter what, the Mariners will not have a losing homestand, but a chance for a winning homestand. And a series win here tonight against Kansas City.
Mentioned Edgar. I was talking to him today, and I asked him how it was going, and he said, you know, it's going pretty well, but in today's game there's so much more information that you can get than when he played. And he said, so I'm trying to get through a lot of information. He's still watching a lot of tape on the guys, trying to get to know them. It's going to take a little bit of time. But he really likes the fact that there's so much information, and he's trying to get through all of that, figuring out what he can apply and what doesn't apply. But he seemed excited about the job and getting the opportunity, which is good. But he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him.
Logan at first base. That has to be one of the greatest challenges for a young hitter, and maybe even more of a seasoned hitter in Major League Baseball today, is how you deal with just the bounty of information you're given, both on paper and also on film.
Well, sometimes I think it can be overload, Aaron. I think sometimes you can get too much information, and you're thinking about all those different things.
Club to the gap, left center, dropping in for a base hit. Logan Morrison on his way to third, and Mike Zunino, a two-out single. The Mariners have runners in the corners.
Well, we talked about it with Mike Zunino, and Edgar's already had him out early working on a few things. I think the biggest thing is Mike picks up this base hit. Aaron, you mentioned the base hit and the RBI last night. But look at the way he's able to get on top of it and drive it into the gap out in left center field. I think the most important thing for him is to stay positive and give him a plan. Give him a plan, something that he can believe in to go to work on. And the good news is you want to see him have success right away to gain his confidence, and that's happened for Mike now over the last 2 nights.
That's good to see. 2 outs, 2 on. Strike one to Miller. Brad with 6 home runs on the season, tied for the most by an American League shortstop. Marcus Semien of the A's also has 6. First half it's been for Johnny Peralta of the Cardinals. He leads all big league shortstops with 11 homers. The Miller comes in here with a chance to give the Mariners the lead with 2 outs. Lomo at third, Zunino at first. To Infante. Out number 3. Mariners strand 2 as we complete 2 innings. We go to the third. Mariners and the Royals scoreless. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. By the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries. When you're choosing a contractor, hire smart. Go to protectmyhome.net. And by Steel. To find a local Steel dealer, visit steeldealer.com. Gorgeous night to end the homestand here at Safeco Field. Alex Rios begins things. And another strike from Roenis Elias. That's his 16th pitch tonight and his 13th strike.
Well, one of the things that we saw Montgomery do last night, Aaron, a lot of first pitch strikes. And so far for Elias, out of the 7 batters, 5 first pitch strikes. I thought it was interesting to watch Montgomery last night use his fastball early in counts, and then he went to his changeup and his breaking ball. Third time through the lineup, he started to mix it up a lot more.
Rios high to left center. Austin Jackson for out number 1. The last turn in the rotation for the Mariners has been absolutely brilliant. You can see no walks, 31 strikeouts. Elias, Walker, Montgomery. Of course, these numbers not reflecting what Elias has done so far tonight. But it has been a masterpiece to watch. These 3, their last turn around the rotation.
It's what you were hoping for with Walker. But how about Elias and Montgomery and the job that they've done with Iwakuma and Paxton going on the disabled list? I think it's definitely beyond what Lloyd could have expected.
There's no question. Here's Infante. And really, the numbers are even more impressive when you consider this. In Mariners history, coming into Friday night, only 31 times in Mariners history had a starting pitcher taken the mound for the Mariners and struck out at least 10 batters without walking a single hitter. It's now happened in 3 of the last 5 days for the Mariners. This is not normal stuff that we're seeing. No walks, 10+ punch-outs, and we've seen Montgomery do it in dramatic fashion with the complete game shutout last night. Walker do it in overpowering fashion with 11 strikeouts, and Elias as well.
And those outings against first place teams.
And what makes Elias is even more so impressive, facing the Astros in such close proximity, back-to-back starts.
And when you look at it, they're different, but the Astros, they will strike out, so now no surprise to see double digits there. But they also will take their walks. So not to walk a batter. Pretty good stuff. And then on the flip side, you see Montgomery. The Kansas City Royals, they do not strike out at all. And obviously they don't walk, so you can see where he maybe could get through an outing where he wouldn't walk anybody, but to pick up double-digit strikeouts is rare.
Well, Mike Montgomery became the first starting pitcher this year to strike out 10 Kansas City Royals. Corey Kluber, 9. Danny Salazar, also of the Indians, 9. But nobody in double figures until last night.
Oh, and Elias has a good fastball tonight. He's been 93, 94. Working ahead, his average this year has been 91, so he has a little bit extra on his fastball.
Dyson behind 0-2.
And that time he drops down again, changing his arm angle. First fastball over the top. Comes right back with another fastball, but changing his arm angle. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a breaking ball off the plate away. Another good fastball. Wow.
94 from Elias. It's been 9 up, 9 down, and Elias peppering strikes to home plate. Pretty impressive start for the lefty. history. And a Hall of Famer, Randy Johnson, setting an American League record for strikeouts by a lefty, punching out 19 Athletics in a loss. Struck out 19 later in the season against the White Sox and won, but it's call that a tough luck loss maybe when you strike out nearly 20 and you get hung with the losing decision. In fact, Randy Johnson remains the last pitcher to strike out 19 batters. Hosmer out number 1. 1 up, 1 down, and it brings in Franklin Gutierrez. Johnson struck out 20 batters back in 2001 as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Saw Corey Kluber strike out 18 earlier this year against St. Louis, but 19 strikeouts, you don't see that often at all. Goody popped up to second his first time up. During his year away from baseball, Franklin was in Florida, in Boca Raton. He was spending time with his family, and really he was working to get back right here. It was interesting hearing his comments today. His goal was to get back in baseball, even though he did consider at times just officially hanging it up. But he wanted to get back to the big leagues, but he said essentially that he tried not to think about it. Almost sounded like that would almost seem like too daunting of a task based on where he was completely out of the game for a whole year. Not pleased with the last couple of calls, 1 and 2.
It'll be interesting second time through the lineup. Duffy was at 70% fastballs, and he has a good one tonight. See if he starts to change it up. He has with Gutierrez here, throwing on the changeup and a breaking ball, and there's another breaking ball. So 3 in a row. 3 in a row with the off-speed pitches to Gutierrez. Aaron mentioned it earlier. He's going to go 80 to 85 pitches at 46 now as he works here in the third.
Chopper. Duffy fighting gravity, and Gutierrez at first base. And a smile from Franklin Gutierrez, who gets his first hit of the big leagues since 2013. Maybe not quite how he envisioned it, but it's a base hit.
No, but it looks like he's running pretty well. He's going to chop it right off the plate. It's almost looking like a super ball, and you can see Duffy, he just has to wait. And by then, Franklin passed the bag. No chance to get him, but he was running well.
One out, 1 on for Cano. We're seeing a lot of pitches just grazed by Mariners hitters early on tonight from Duffy.
And most of them are on his fastball. The last fastball, 95 miles an hour, right at the knees. Cano's first at bat, they tried to work him away, and he tried to go away with another fastball. This looks like they're going to go back inside.
Goody had 2 steals with the Rainiers in as many tries before being called up to the big leagues today. No 2. That slider's been a good pitch for Duffy this year. Away from Perez, and Gutierrez waltzes into second.
That'll be a wild pitch. And another slider in the dirt.
Watching Perez go after a wild pitch like that, it's like watching Goliath track down a golf ball.
He's one of the best ones at it. That's the reason why he has a Gold Glove.
The 1-2. Robinson with 7 doubles this month. He had only 4 in the month of May. In fact, only 5 extra base hits last month. So things starting to turn in the right direction for the Mariners second baseman. When you look at Cano, since he first made his big league debut back in 2005, since that time, no hitter in baseball has more doubles than Robinson Cano. He and Miguel Cabrera tied for the most in baseball. Go ahead run at second base, right there to Moustakas. Cano hit it hard, but to the wrong spot.
Tough break. Line drive right to the third baseman. Hit it on the button. Able to catch up to a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And our Alaska Supermo, Cano hit it so hard he wasn't able to get out of the box before Moustakas was able to make the catch.
Well, it kind of goes back to the old saying that not all outs are created equally. And there was a time where we saw most of Cano's outs on ground ball hoppers over on the right side of the infield. But now it seems like more times than not when Cano is making an out on this homestand, he's really sparing a pitch up.
Well, you're right. He's starting to get the barrel to it. And you talk about the ground balls. He was getting jammed early in the season, and that's not happening right now. He's able to get the barrel to it. Pretty good changeup from Duffy.
Cruz, a strikeout victim on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Duffy to end the first. Gutierrez, an infield single, then a wild pitch. He's in scoring position. But Cruz is behind in the count 0-2. The 1-2. And Nelson Cruz makes for strikeout victim number 4 tonight for Danny Duffy, who has stranded now 4 base runners over the first 3 innings. Calendar brought to you by Sleep Country USA, and Well, we're not used to saying this, but an off day tomorrow. Tonight marking the end of 16 Mariners games in a row. So the Mariners will be idle tomorrow night within a West Coast road trip. Anaheim for 3. Felix will start in the finale. The Mariners will have to face Garrett Richards on Saturday night, the middle game of the series. Then a day off. And then on to San Diego for 2. Then to the Bay Area to take on the last place Oakland A's. But the A's playing better lately. They've won 3 in a row. Now, Elias breezed through the starting 9 of the Royals the first time through. 9 up, 9 down. Now facing Escobar, the leadoff hitter, for the second time tonight. Escobar 4 for 9 in this series. 3 hits in game 1. Will be off tomorrow as well. They're on a West Coast road trip on to Oakland after Seattle. Then they'll take on the Houston Astros for 3. Escobar and a right field and a base hit. Elias perfect through 3. A leadoff single for Alcides Escobar.
We'll get the base hit on a fastball. Again, Elias has a good fastball tonight. He's been 93, 94 miles an hour.
Leadoff man reaches for the Royals. Their first base runner now facing Mike Moustakas. Moustakas, a former first-round draft pick by Kansas City, 2nd overall back in 2007. The year that David Price was taken number 1 overall. Same first round as Matt Wieters of the Orioles, Madison Bumgarner of the Giants. 0-2.
For Elias, 32 pitches, 24 strikes.
He's been locked in. His last start was so odd from the standpoint. First pitch of the game whacked for a home run by George Springer. Last batter he faced, Marwin Gonzalez, went deep as well, a solo shot. Everything in between was nearly flawless. The start was bookended by solo home runs.
The only 2 runs he gave up in that outing.
10 strikeouts, no walks, 7 innings his last time up in the rotation. Moustakas struck out his last time up in the first. Keeping an eye on Escobar. The Royals are not a team that steals at an incredibly high rate, but they have proven to be very successful when stealing. They've swiped nearly 40 bags. They've been caught just over 15 times. Count pushes full to Moustakas. Morales on deck. Club to right field. Trumbo having a hurry back to the warning track, and it's just over the wall. 2-run homer, Mike Moustakas, 2-0 Kansas City.
For Moustakas, his 7th home run on the year. RBIs 29 and 30. This is a fastball. It's down out of the strike zone. He just golfs it out. Line drive to right. Just enough to get it over the fence.
Ball one to Morales. Kansas City suddenly bunching up hits. 9 up, 9 down, then a single and a 2-run homer. Pop up Cano's way. Tiptoeing back for out number 1.
And we'll take another look at the swing. Again, the pitch down below his knees. And just enough. Not quite like Ackley's home run last night, which hit right off the top of the fence, but
that was measured out to the inch.
Yeah.
Ball one to Hosmer. Hosmer 0 for his last 9. If there has been one strength for Elias, and he has had plenty to count on so far this year and even last year too, Elias is not the sort to be rattled. We've seen that time and time again. Now, we were talking about his last start. Springer goes deep on the first pitch of the game, and it seems like Elias can press the delete key better than almost anybody. Up the middle, a base hit for Hosmer.
Ended up picking up a base hit. Well, it was a pretty good pitch. Fastball right on the outside corner. Hosmer came into the game hitting .289. You can see the location on our EQC tracer right on the outside corner.
One out, one on for Salvador Perez. Perez, an all-star each of the last 2 years. Signed out of Venezuela by the Royals. Developed by Kansas City. We talked earlier about the physical size of Perez. Marvin Hudson was behind home plate in game 1 of this series, and he said that Perez, when he needs to, can shrink and gives the umpire a very good look at the strike zone, and when he needs to get big all of a sudden to block a pitch, he can do that perfectly as well. He's one of the best. Out towards Austin Jackson in a few strides. 2 outs. Well, the ultimate cap for guys, complete with a built-in bottle opener, is yours when you join us for EQC Guys Night Out on Friday, July 10th. For only $40, you'll receive the cap, a select main or terrace club level ticket, plus your first drink. Guys Night Out tickets are available now at mariners.com/guys. 2 outs, 1 on for Alex Gordon. Gordon was out in the second inning to end the frame on a fantastic play by Kyle Seager. A high bouncer, and Gordon, you can see the uniform front dirty because of a headlock slide into first base. He was ruled out. Seager got rid of it quickly.
We've already seen 2 plays like that. Gordon hitting it off the plate. Gutierrez bounced one off the plate, but he was able to beat it out for a base hit.
It was good to see Goody running so well. Getting the start tonight in left field. Sounds like we will not see Goody in center field anymore. Nice movement on that pitch from Elias. That might be the best curve we've seen tonight.
Well, and again, changing arm angles to the left-handed hitters.
to it again. And that's what generates that different movement from Elias, because that time a little more of a sweep, and we've seen him more times over the top.
No, you're right, Aaron. And when he throws his fastball, he'll get more sink from it too when he drops his arm angle down. When he throws his curveball and he stays over on the top of it, it's more of a 12-6. When he drops down, you see the beetle around 80 miles an hour, more of a slurve like that, just sweeping across the plate.
That's 3 in a row. Rios would be next. 2-run homer by Moustakas in this 4th inning. Elias went 9 up, 9 down, and then a hit to 3 of the first 4 Royals batters in this 4th. All 4 to Gordon. Missing on the changeup, and Gordon at first base. Hosmer into second, and Zunino out to have a toss.
Talked about the different breaking balls. You can see Elias as he goes and he throws this one as he drops down, and you can see how his hand gets on the outside of the ball, and that's what creates that sweeping motion, as opposed to when he throws over the top and he'll pull down on it more. That was a good look at the breaking ball. Rick Waite's making a trip out to the mound. Now 26 pitches in the inning for Elias.
And 26 pitches over the first 3 innings. So as many here to get 2 outs so far as he did to get 9. Hosmer at second, the single. Gordon the walk at first. You saw Rios in right field with Texas most recently, and then of course before that with the White Sox. Signing as a free agent with Kansas City this winter. Line drive, but hooking foul. Watch out. A little forearm shiver, Mike.
Didn't have time to get his glove on.
That's rule number 1.
It helps.
Yeah. Watch out, Rios gets plunked. And the bases are full with 2 outs.
For Elias, again, he was perfect through the first 3 innings, 26 pitches. And he has really struggled and labored here in the 4th inning. As you take a look at this last pitch, it's a fastball, and he misses badly with it. Hits Rios in the calf.
Rios at first, Gordon to second, Hosmer at third. And Fonte looks at strike 1. Vidal Nuno will start to stir. Well, how quickly things have changed for Elias. Still a chance to get out of this inning, having allowed only 2 runs. But he's pinned in a corner right now. Line drive, fair ball, and damage by the Royals. Hosmer scoring. Gordon behind him. Rios quickly sprinting home. He slides in safely. And with that, Infante clears the bases. And it's second. And the Royals have hung a 5 spot on Elias and the Mariners here in the 4th inning. maybe he's an all-star for a reason.
Well, we've talked about it throughout the series. One of the things that Kansas City does well is hit with runners in scoring position, hitting .286 as a team coming into the game. And Infante hits that down into the corner, driving in all 3 runs. Rios, who had been hit by a pitch at first, came all the way around to score.
First pitch strike to Dyson. Nine-batter inning for Elias. It began with the single by Alcides Escobar. Nice curve there to make it 0-2. Elias facing 9 batters over the first 3 innings. Perfect through 3. Now, of course, facing his 9th here in the 4th. Base hit. Here comes Infante. He scores from second. Escobar steaming into second base. He tiptoes in. 6-0 Kansas City. And Lloyd quickly bolting out from the dugout, and that'll be it for Elias. Now things unraveled very quickly for Roenis Elias. Not what we expected after the first 3 innings. Elias knocked out after 3 2/3. The Royals have scored 6 runs on 5 hits, and they have knocked Roenis Elias, Mike, out of the ballgame.
Well, you take a look at 3 2/3, 5 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk, a couple of strikeouts, 60 pitches, 38 of those for strikes. He's responsible for the runner at second base, which is Dyson, who just doubled and drove in a run. For Nuno on the year, his 8th appearance. 2.57 ERA in 7 innings. He has 8 strikeouts. He's only walked 1 batter. Opponents hitting .208 against him.
The Royals have tied a season best for most runs in an inning. This is the 3rd time they've scored 6 runs in 1 frame. Taking off to 3rd, and in there without a throw goes Dyson. Number 8 this year. Nuno having to eat some innings now for the Mariners. Drive left field, and a fair ball. 7th run of the frame comes home for Kansas City. Another double. That is 3 consecutive doubles. Infante, Dyson, and now Escobar.
We'll take a look at it. 90-mile-an-hour fastball hit down into the corner. The Royals 6th in the American League in doubles, and they already have 3 doubles here in this inning. So 4 extra base hits, including the homer. And they are 3 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
Strike one to Moustakas. He can close the book on Elias. And this is not at all what we thought we'd be talking about regarding Roenis Elias after the first 3 innings. Broken bat, little rainbow, left field, and Gutierrez making the play. Moustakas retired. Escobar stranded, but damage done. An 11-batter 4th for Kansas City. 7 runs in for the Royals. Half of the 4th as we go to the home half. Well, fans this season, for every Mariners hit, Fred Hutch will receive a donation from Mariners Care. It's called Hits for the Hutch, and it's the Mariners' way of supporting the life-saving research taking place at Seattle's own Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Danny Duffy, safe to say, now has a nice lead to work with, facing Kyle Seager. Duffy 4 strikeouts, no walks. And Mike, as simple as command or lack thereof for Elias?
I think so. I think if you go back and you look at the majority of the hits, including the home run, even though it was down in the middle of the plate, and it's one of the things we talked about with Kansas City, they're very aggressive, and it makes your job difficult as a pitcher, and it's something that Montgomery was exceptional at last night, and that is throwing first pitch strikes, working ahead, but making them quality strikes. You still have to pitch on the corners. Unfortunately for Elias, too many pitches in the middle of the plate.
Things have turned quickly. One and 2 on Seager. Seager's had a nice amount of success this year against lefties, both in average and also in pop. Base hit up the middle.
No, Kyle able to get an off-speed pitch and drive it right back up the middle. Was having a couple of long conversations at the batting cage with Edgar Martinez today, talking about his setup and where he was at, and it was interesting to watch the two of them interact. Paid off with a base hit for Kyle.
Trumbo to right with Carey. Rios out of the track for round number 1. Well, change up your commute. Take our online trip planner for a spin at soundtransit.org. Another gorgeous night here from Safeco Field. The homestand coming to a close after this one's over with. Mariners right now 4-3 on the homestand. It started with San Francisco, and then the Astros taking 2 out of 3 against Houston, and finishing up with Kansas City. Of course, Logan Morrison, a Kansas City boy growing up, and he has a very strong connection with a former Royals All-Star, Kevin Seitzer, now the hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves. We saw him last year, the last couple of seasons, hitting coach for John Gibbons in Toronto. But Seitzer told us the story last year when we were up at Rogers Center about a young 11-year-old Logan Morrison and his father Tom walking into Seitzer's hitting facility in Kansas City, which he co-ran with former big leaguer and former Royal Mike McFarland. It was called Mac and Seitz. And Seitzer telling stories of Lomo and his father peppering them with questions and working with him really throughout his minor league career ever since he was 11. Double play ball ends the bottom of the 4th. We go to the 5th. All Royals early on. Yeah, that was an incredible catch as Morales pokes it deep out to center field. He stands up with a double. A lot of doubles tonight for Kansas City. That's how they begin the top of the 5th. But that catch was off the charts good.
No, it's one of the best that I've seen. And it looked as if he was fortunate when he's landed. I've gone into the stands before, Aaron, and so many times you can get the chair. It'll hit you in the ribs, and that will hurt for a while. But he looked like he was able to land maybe in an aisle way, keep from getting hurt. What an effort.
Hosmer pops it up. Miller and Cano. Brad Miller waits and makes the catch. So 1 out, 1 on. And it brings in Salvador Perez. Now, Marco Estrada has been fantastic lately for the Blue Jays. That's back-to-back starts. He's taken a no-hitter into the 8th inning. First time that's happened since '88. Nolan Arenado of the Rockies, a Gold Glove winner. We see him on the highlights all the time. at third base. But Donaldson, whether it's the tarp in Oakland, which he somehow rolled behind to make a catch and then popped up to make a throw during his A's days, or in Tampa Bay, one of the better third basemen you'll see in the league.
There's been a lot of talk about Arenado and his defense, but how about the offensive numbers he's putting up this year?
And he's on a team that, with Cargo there and Tulowitzki as well, he can be overshadowed a little bit with the Rockies, a team that historically has, of course, not put up a whole lot of wins since Arenado's been up there. But he's one of the better, almost unknown Gold Glovers. Perez, a soft liner out to Robinson Cano for 2 outs.
He has 19 home runs on the year along with the Gold Glove play, and he's second in the National League with 58 RBIs. What a year.
He's been fantastic. 2 outs. Morales at second for Gordon.
Speaking of third baseman, you're mentioning Kevin Seitzer. A lot of Mariners fans will know Raul Ibanez, who was here yesterday, was able to pick up his ring from the Royals. But when Raul left Seattle, didn't get a lot of playing time, went to Kansas City, and that's really when Raul had an opportunity to play, and he spent a lot of time with Seitzer. And he'll give him a lot of credit for the offensive production that Raul was able to put up for basically the rest of his career.
That's interesting. Lobo has nothing but great things to say about Seitzer. And Seitzer calling Logan Morrison, well, he said he's like a son to me. And Seitzer was incredibly emotional when Lomo finally got the call up to the big leagues, of course, coming up with the Marlins before coming to Seattle. But very, very close, Kevin Seitzer and Logan Morrison. Ball and 2 strikes to Gordon. The man who last year won the Platinum Glove in the American League. It's given out to the best defender regardless of position. One in the American League, one in the National League. Gets behind Zunino, but Morales isn't moving. Adrian Beltre has won the Platinum Glove in recent years in the American League. Yadier Molina of the Cardinals has won it for St. Louis. It's a relatively new award. It came out around 2011. But Gordon, in terms of left fielders, is basically in a class of his own. Down on strikes, Gordon rips right through it. And with that, Morales stranded at second base. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Royals have the lead. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By Vern Funk. Bad luck can hit anyone, insure with the 13th man. And by Volkswagen. Hurry in and get a deal during the Volkswagen Stop Dreaming, Start Driving event. Beautiful look at Elliott Bay as Mike Zunino leads things off the Mariners' 5th, facing Danny Duffy.
Mike with a base hit his first time up. Line drive into left center field. Talked about his base hit last night, driving in a run. I always felt as a hitter, especially when you're struggling, if you can get a base hit early in the game, it really relaxes you and feel like you have something you can build on for that day, as opposed to continuing to grind. A couple of tough pitches. Mike didn't like either one towards the outside corner.
Give yourself a little momentum, in other words?
Yeah, that's kind of what you're looking for. So hopefully Mike, I'm sure after this at bat, he'll have a couple of more. Take a look at Edgar Martinez, new hitting coach for the Mariners. Get a chance to check in, maybe pick up 2 hits. 3. Start feeling a little bit better, gaining some confidence in what you're doing. 70th pitch coming up for Duffy. Again, he's going to go 80-85 pitches tonight.
Now, few will probably look forward to the off day tomorrow more than Mike Zunino. That has been a storyline for the Mariners, even dating back to last year, trying to find ways to give Zunino a little more time off. Such a grind. Perez off with the mask. Hosmer over as well. It's Perez's ball. And it's out number 1. All-star balloting continues, and Nelson Cruz is currently second in the designated hitter category. Vote for Nelson up to 35 times on the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Mariners.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, your tablet, and smartphone. Vote at Mariners.com. All-Star Game this year in Cincinnati. Mariners were there a couple of years ago in interleague play back in 2013. Beautiful ballpark. Reds have an outstanding museum outside of Great American Ballpark. Lots of history there in Cincinnati. 1 out, nobody on for Brad Miller. Last year really ended oddly for Danny Duffy. For about 3/4 of the season, you could make the case that he was one of the Royals' very best starters, and then in September was sidelined a little bit with a shoulder issue, and then once the Royals rolled into the postseason, Duffy was almost a non-factor. Straight back above the booth. In fact, if you look at the postseason run for the Royals, which was just magnificent, and it started with that extra inning win at home against the A's in the wild card game. Duffy only 1 inning in the ALDS, a sweep with the Angels, did not pitch in the ALCS against the Orioles, and made only 2 appearances out of the bullpen in the World Series. Miller fights it off the hands, and he drops it in for a base hit. A 1-out single.
Pretty good fastball from Duffy. He's going to throw it on the inside corner. You see Brad fighting, trying to get the barrel to it. It ends up jamming him a little bit, but he'll pick up a base hit. Good job of keeping his hands inside the baseball right there. Duffy's had a good fastball tonight.
1 out, 1 on for Austin Jackson. What everyone learned about Duffy after the World Series was that he really was battling a rib cage injury, and that's what kept him from pitching as much as he could have in the postseason. Hardly any innings at all. 2-0 on Austin. Austin a single and a pop-up. Right center. Dyson can't get there. Miller steams to second, makes a turn. And And the Mariners have runners on the corners with 1 out.
Well, another really good inside-out swing on a fastball. This is middle in, and this is something that Austin has done consistently this year, and really having a fine month of June. Solid line drive base hit. This did not jam him at all. He was able to get the barrel to it.
And activity in the bullpen. Ryan Madsen warming up for Kansas City. Duffy's pitch count approaching his limit tonight.
Franklin Gutierrez 1 for 2 at an infield base hit his last time up.
And maybe the most important thing at this point, down 7-0, try to chip away. Don't try to get everything at once.
I think so. We've talked about it, especially with the Mariners this year and some of their offensive struggles. Elias, not a good night for him, but I think offensively what Lloyd would like to see is these guys continue to score runs. And there's a good opportunity to pick up a run right here with just 1 out and a runner at third.
They have 7 hits tonight, the same amount as the Royals. First foul. Gutierrez appearing in just under 50 games with Tacoma. Put up good numbers. Hit .317, 7 bombs, 31 RBIs. High to right field. Miller ready to tag at third. Rios the catch. Here comes Miller. And he scores standing. The Mariners are on the board. Gutierrez, his first base hit back at the third, his first RBI of the season here in the 5th.
And a good at bat for Franklin Gutierrez.
Jackson stays put at first. Brings in Cano with 2 outs. And Duffy still throwing hard.
Robinson 0 for 2 tonight. The ball hard his last time up a line drive, but it was right at the third baseman, Moustakas.
Two and 0. Count evens up on Cano. There goes Jackson. Left side through a base hit. Jackson wheeling into third base. He's in there standing. Robinson and Cano going with the pitch, and his first hit tonight.
And probably the last batter for Duffy. He's over the 85 mark. You can see 88 pitches, And Yost out of the dugout. He's going to make a change. Take a look at the swing by Robinson Cano. Again, this is not an easy pitch to get to. 96-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the strike zone. He's hit the ball hard the other way a couple of times tonight as he picks up a base hit.
That'll be all she wrote for Danny Duffy. Ned Yost going to the bullpen will step aside here in the bottom of the 5th inning. But trailing by 6 runs. Well, earlier we saw a lesson learned the hard way. You know, the gloves, they work so much better when you actually have them on the hand as opposed to in your hand. It's the little things. And the gentleman in blue playing the carom flawlessly. No glove needed for the soft top. But then only a few moments ago, speaking of caroms, the glove is on and a routine ground ball. Nice work. So he does walk away with the souvenir as the man in blue. He's saying a little disappointed. New pitcher Ryan Madsen taking over for Danny Duffy, who reached his pitch count tonight.
Or Madsen on the year, 28 appearances. He's pitched well, as most of the relievers for Kansas City have this year. A 1.91 ERA, 29 strikeouts, and 28 in the third. Opponents hitting 182 against him. And for Duffy, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 1 run. It was earned. Didn't walk anybody. 4 strikeouts, 88 pitches, 58 for strikes. He's responsible for the 2 base runners.
And to this point, a pretty nice job of scattering 8 hits. Jason Vargas, to Duffy's right, former Mariner, on the disabled list right now with Kansas City. Late skip, and it eats up Escobar. Austin Jackson scores from third base. Cano is into second. And the Mariners put a crooked number up here in the bottom of the 5th.
For Cruz, he gets an off-speed pitch, and this is a top-spin line drive. Escobar gets his glove turned the wrong way. Wasn't sure what to do with it, and Mariners will pick up another run.
It's an error on Escobar. No RBI for Cruz. A run in, though.
Kyle Seager 1 for 2 tonight.
2 on, 2 out. Knifes him to make it 2-1. Last month was a huge power month for Kyle Seager. 7 of his 11 home runs come in the month of May. Hit nearly, well, just over 275.
He tried to hit one right there, get the Mariners a little bit closer. Unfortunately, it was an off-speed pitch. Looking for the fastball.
Levels out the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. He has Cano at second, Cruz at first. Line drive, but stabbed by Infante. We've seen a couple of hard hit balls just like that. One from Cano earlier. This time off the bat of Seager to the second baseman. The Mariners strand 2, but they get 2, and through 5, the Royals lead 7-2. All right, Angie, thank you. As the first pitch on the way to Alex Rios is there for strike 1. Bottom third of the order due up for Kansas City. They knocked Elias out of the game in the 4th. Rowan has 7 runs on 5 hits after going 9 up, 9 down against the Royals. Miller with the backhand deep, throws off his heels, and it's in time.
Take a look at the athletic play by Brad Miller. Backhand out on the grass, gets rid of it quickly, and an accurate throw. Good look at our Alaska Supermo and the play by Brad as he backhands it. And I think it's a good call.
What a play. And it really underscores and highlights, Mike, for Miller, a tremendous athlete, one of the best athletes on the Mariners roster. When Brad seems to make a bobble at shortstop, it's typically not on a play like that. When it's a bang bang, you have to have it. More times than not, Miller is exceptional.
Well, and I think what you see from that play is the strong throwing arm that he does have, and not having to think about it, really don't have time to think about it. You just have to step and throw, and the accuracy of it, which is what's special about that play. Making the catch backhanded wasn't that hard, but an accurate throw is.
Hudson Jackson has to play it on a bounce. Nice night for Infante. 3 RBIs, his second hit. Last night, what a night it was for Mike Montgomery. Complete game shutout of the Royals. And you can see this is so impressive. The opposing average the first time, the second time, the third time through the lineup.
Well, he's been really good this year as he's worked his way through the lineup. But last night it was exceptional. Did not give up a hit second or third time through the lineup in last night's ball game.
Obviously a lot of strikes for Montgomery. And if you look at his sequence of pitches as Dyson fights his one-off foul, after the 4th inning, Montgomery threw 11 pitches that were not strikes.
Well, and I'll underscore it by saying they're not just strikes here, and they were quality strikes on the corner, at the knees, mixing it up, being able to throw all of his pitches for strikes.
To Cano, quick skip, gobbles it up. Miller at second. On to first. Ends up being a pretty quick top of the 6th inning. A couple of fine defensive plays by the Mariners middle infield. Game changer, and the Royals 7 runs in the 4th off a Rowan, so Leaves had started with this impressive home run by Moustakas.
Well, you can see the fastball, it was down, but in the middle of the plate. And then Ponte again, he gets a pitch that's up in the middle of the plate, hits it down into the corner. The base is loaded. That'll drive in 3 runs as Rios comes all the way around from first. For Elias, you're right, Aaron. You said it earlier. He was just cruising along, and it seemed as if the Royals, they scored 5 runs in a hurry off of him.
Trumbo, a deep poke to center. Dyson right in front of 401 for out number 1. And really, in some ways, circumstances a little different, but shades of Felix's start against the Yankees, where he mowed through the Yankees 9 up and 9 down on really almost the exact same number of pitches. Elias 26 pitches, 20 strikes over the first 3 innings. Command was the issue, and walks were the issue for Felix. And today, strikes that were not too much over the plate for Elias.
And you can see the Royals taking advantage of their 8 hits. The Mariners with 8 hits also, but 7 runs for Kansas City.
Lomo steps in. 1 out, nobody on. Madsen taking over for Danny Duffy. for Duffy, Mike. A 26-year-old power lefty, hadn't pitched in nearly 40 days in the big leagues. A couple of rehab stints. Doesn't get through a full 5 innings, but that was as lively of a fastball as you'll see for most lefties.
No, he topped out at 97 miles an hour, consistently 95 to 97. So he looks healthy after having an issue with his bicep. Next time out, he'll be in that 95 to 100 pitch range.
One and two on Lomo. This homestand for the Mariners began with a series split, a brief 2-game series split with the Giants, and then taking 2 out of 3 against the Astros. Tonight, the rubber game with Kansas City. A flick into left field. Gordon finds it for out number 2. 2 fly ball outs brings in Mike Zunino. Now, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. 2 out, space is empty for Mike Zunino. 1 for 2 tonight. Zunino with a fantastic college career in Gainesville at the University of Florida. Earlier tonight, University of Virginia winning the College World Series. And it's funny how matchups and battles can follow from the college ranks into the big leagues. It was Zunino's Gators who knocked Sonny Gray's ball club with Vanderbilt out of the College World Series, and now Zunino and Sonny Gray see each other, it seems like, at least once a month. Gray, the ace for the A's. Easy play for Dyson. And a 1-2-3 inning. All 3 outs to the outfield. Through 6 innings here at Safeco Field, the Royals have the lead. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box, taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today only at Jack in the Box. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Beautiful look at the waterfront. Another gorgeous day here in downtown Seattle. Glad you could join us for Mariners baseball on Root Sports. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Blowers, our entire Root Sports crew. And the final game of the series and of the homestand. Royals won game 1. The Mariners taking last night as Escobar continues his hitting ways. That's now his 7th hit in this series.
3 for 4 tonight, and he has remained aggressive, hitting the first pitch. Mike Moustakas really the one to get things started for Kansas City. It was a 2-run home run after a base hit by Escobar. Get the Royals on the scoreboard.
Take a look at our Seattle City Light power play of the night. It was the home run by Moustakas. Got just enough on it. Hard to remember the last time we heard the Moose chants rain throughout Safeco Field, but as we were talking about in game 1, things are a little bit different in terms of the fan base for Kansas City since winning the pennant, going to game 7 of the World Series last year.
So you're not talking about the Mariner Moose.
That's right. That's a very good clarification. The other Moose that has stormed into town. And this is a much different Mike Moustakas offensively than what we have seen in recent years.
At one point he was sent back to AAA last year, really struggling, and this year off to a great start. 327 average, his 7th home run tonight.
Moustakas was really a very highly regarded third baseman defensively as well, coming up through the Royals system. In fact, in high school, he played shortstop on the same team as Matt Dominguez, whom we saw for a couple of years with the Astros. Dominguez was the third baseman of his high school team, and when the Royals wanted to put Moustakas at third base, he picked up the phone. He called Dominguez for some tips because he was the best defensive third baseman he'd ever seen, and at that time in his career, Dominguez a very good third baseman, but in AAA right now. Moustakas out number 1. I'll join special guest Dan Wilson, Jay Buhner, and Seattle Seahawks Jermaine Kearse for the 3rd annual All-Star Softball Classic for Youth. Bring your family and friends to Safeco Field this Saturday, 3 in the afternoon. For ticket information, just visit uwkc.org. Escobar into second base now, 1 out. A runner in scoring position for the Royals. It brings in Kendrys Morales.
Nuno now at 33 pitches, so you can see Rick Waits making a call out to the bullpen. Get somebody started.
Austin Jackson rather tracking it well, has to wait a while as Escobar tags and advances into third base.
Be Tom Wilhelmsen getting loose. There's Tom just starting to hit loose.
The Royals have done all of their damage tonight in the 4th inning. An 11 batter inning for the Royals. 7 runs on 6 hits. Now Kevin Herrera, the flamethrower warming up the bullpen for Kansas City. We saw him in game 1. Underneath the glove of Kyle Seager, Escobar, who led things off with a single, scores from third, and it's 8-2 Kansas City. Second hit tonight for Hosmer.
For Kansas City, as you see Hosmer get this base hit, I think Kyle ended up getting a little piece of it right off the end of his glove. Good diving effort trying to keep it on the infield, and no, he does not. Not able to get to it. Kansas City now 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight. And they came into the game 286 as a team with runners in scoring position.
A 1-2 on Salvador Perez. The man who won the wild card game for Kansas City against the A's. Extra inning base hit down the left field line. Goes around. 3 pitches, all strikes. And Perez retired. Hosmer stranded, but he drove in Escobar from third. And as we stretch here in downtown Seattle, Royals have the lead by 6. Well, you're stretching your body. How about stretching your mind as you consider how a Washington's lottery win would change your bucket list? Play today. Beautiful shot looking out onto Mount Rainier. Gorgeous day here in Seattle once again. The Royals have the lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Royals getting 6 of their 10 hits tonight in the 4th inning. Hosmer an RBI single in the 7th to tack on a run. And Kelvin Herrera, the new pitcher up on the mound for Kansas City. We saw Herrera in game 1, an inning scoreless, did allow a hit. 2 strikeouts in game 1 of the series. And Herrera is on to pitch the bottom of the 7th. He'll face Miller, Jackson, and Gutierrez. Miller tonight, a single, a run scored, also a ground down. And you have to start early to get a piece of this fastball.
Aaron, I was just thinking, an 8-2 ball game. This just doesn't seem fair at this point.
To bring on Herrera?
Yeah, throwing 100 miles an hour. Because typically when they have a lead, you'll see Herrera, Davis, Holland finish the game off. They'll shorten the game that way, but up by 6 runs. Get a hit.
What a play. Backhand by Moustakas, and the throw in time. Quick hands by Moustakas, 1 out. And it's back to the top of the order. Now mark your calendars for Saturday, July 11th, for Nelson Cruz bobblehead night, when the home run hitter makes his Mariners bobblehead debut. Thanks to Root Sports, this collectible of the boomstick himself, free to the first 20,000 fans. For tickets, visit Mariners.com.
Pretty impressive by Brad Miller to hit that last fastball. It registered at 101 miles an hour. And he hit it hard. Good play by Moustakas at third.
Took a hit away.
There you go, 101 again.
No one too quickly on Jackson. Off day tomorrow for the Mariners before hitting the road on to Anaheim, and then an off day before interleague play in San Diego, then a 4-game series over Independence Day against the A's. And Fonte is there for round number 2. But then the Mariners come back home. We will see the Tigers for the first time of the season, and then Mike Trout and red hot hitting Albert Pujols here at Safeco Field before the All-Star break. So the Tigers for 3, the Angels for 4. And as you take a look at the American League Central this year, we have seen the Indians twice, the Mariners done with Cleveland for the season. Of course, seeing the Royals for the first time. And the series finale against the Tigers on the 8th will be a very rare midweek day game. So we hope to see you here under the Safeco Field sunshine for that one.
As you look at the Tigers, no surprise Cabrera hitting .351 this year. You expect that. And Sussman is having a good year hitting .307. But how about their shortstop, Iglesias? Iglesias hitting .325, known for his glove and what he can do. But this is going to be a real challenge for the Mariner pitching staff when the Tigers get here. They have a number of guys that are swinging the bats pretty well, as you can see right now. A couple games over 500.
Now the surprising Twins, a win away from number 40. You bring up Iglesias. He is one of the finest defensive shortstops in the game, and we were in Boston at Fenway Park the night he was traded to Detroit and had to miss all of last year with shin problems.
Maybe not as consistent, but he is Omar Vizquel-like. Just great hands. He makes some spectacular plays. He's a lot of fun to watch play shortstop.
The Tigers for a long time this year without Victor Martinez. Martinez is back now off the disabled list. Verlander has been activated off the DL, but has really scuffled in a couple of starts. Two and two. So the Mariners will see the Angels for 2 series in a pretty short span of time. We mentioned the road trip after tomorrow's off day, beginning in Anaheim for 3 games, and then the upcoming homestand, finishing with the Halos for 4. Lloyd a chance to see his former ball club in Detroit when the Tigers come to town. Battle continues. They're 2-2 to Gutierrez.
And it appears that Tom Wilhelmsen will work an inning. Still throwing out in the pen. There's Tom.
And Gutierrez down on strikes. 3 up, 3 down for Calvin Herrera as we go to the 8th here from Safeco Field. Presented by Delta Airlines. Beautiful shot on the east side as we go to the top of the 8th. Here from Safeco Field, 8-2. Royals in charge tonight despite having only 2 more hits than the Mariners tonight. Alex Gordon will lead things off for Kansas City, facing a new pitcher, Tom Helmson.
This will be his 19th appearance on the air. 4.64 ERA, 26 strikeouts over 21 1/3. For Tom, good fastball in the mid-90s. Of course, the 12-6 curveball. Also mix in a changeup.
He'll face Gordon, Rios, and Infante. Gordon, the former third baseman, former first-round draft pick out of Nebraska, makes his home in Lincoln still.
Mariners will put the shift on. Gordon hitting. There's a look at the defense. Brad Miller over on the right side of the infield. Kyle Seager over where the shortstop would normally be.
Mike talking about the Tigers coming to town. When the Tigers got Yoenis Cespedes, it looked like murderer's row for Detroit with Cabrera, Victor Martinez, and last year there was a scene here at Safeco Field with Cespedes when he was still a member of the Oakland A's, as Gordon picks up a base hit. That it was one that I really wish cameras could have caught. It was right before the All-Star break. The A's were in town, and Josh Donaldson and Yoenis Cespedes were both scheduled to appear in the Home Run Derby, which at that point was really just days away. And well before BP, this was at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Donaldson and Cespedes came out to home plate here at Safeco Field with, well, somebody to throw some light BP, and they started taking some hacks. They started getting ready for the Home Run Derby, and Yoenis Cespedes hit ball after ball after ball to the bleachers above the digital out-of-town scores in left center field, and it was so far away that you would see the ball rattle around in the bleachers and then you would hear it about a second later. Check swing right back to Will Helmson. How about that for a double play? And that takes care of the single by Gordon.
A little bit of a check swing. Fastball probably down out of the strike zone as you look at our Alaska Supermo, and good reactions by Will Helmson on the mound. Gordon taking off. And Tom making the catch. Easy double play for Tom.
Nice reflexes, 2 outs.
Listen to you tell that story about Cespedes and Donaldson. Start of the homestand, I was watching batting practice, and Cruz and Trumbo were doing pretty much the same thing.
I can imagine.
Morales getting loose.
On Infante, who had his 8-game hitting streak snapped last night, but has picked up 2 hits tonight, 3 RBIs. Had the bases clearing double in the 4th inning. Dyson on deck. Into left field, and a base hit in front of Gutierrez. 2 outs and a man on base for Kansas City. 3rd hit for Infante tonight. That'll bring in Dyson. You can meet the Mariner Moose during your next trip to Safeco Field by visiting the Seattle Children's Moose Den. The den is conveniently located on the main concourse in center field, and it's open to all fans. So be sure to stop on by the Seattle Children's Moose Den this season. 2 outs. Infante at first base for Gerard Dyson. Dyson is a part of a pretty elite fraternity, or a rare fraternity, maybe the better way to say it. A former 50th round draft pick, one of only 2 50th rounders in baseball right now. The other is Efren Navarro, who was taken in the 50th round in '07 with the Angels. They don't even have a 50th round anymore.
No, they just go 40 now.
That's called finding a gem late. But he's one of the quickest men in baseball right now. And he's ahead 3-0. Escobar on deck. 3 hits tonight for Escobar. Strike. Not what Dyson was thinking. That was close. He saw the tracer. Shattered bat, and the ball finds Lomo. That'll do it for the Royals. In the top of the 8th, they strand a man. We go to the home half. The game, Danny Duffy making his first start since mid-May, and Mike, his fastball was alive, and you can see not a lot of great contact at times for Mariners hitters.
No, he topped out at 97 miles an hour. Had to throw a lot of pitches to get through 4 2/3, but when he wasn't striking the Mariners out, helped out by a little bit of defense. You see this double play. Morales is going to take over for Kansas City. Just saw Herrera, who was throwing 100 miles an hour. Morales will not be doing that, although he has pitched well. 3-0 record, a 2.89 ERA, 17 strikeouts, only 6 walks over the 28 innings that he has worked. Look at the middle of the lineup. It'll be Cano, Cruz, and Seager due up here in the bottom of the 8th. Cano's hit the ball hard a couple of times, 1 for 3 tonight.
Morales, 29 years old, out of Venezuela, and he's bounced around a little bit lately. He broke in with the Rockies, but the Royals represent his 3rd team in 3 years. The Red Sox, then back to Colorado, then signing as a free agent with Kansas City. Broke into the big leagues back in 07 as a starter, but has spent a lot of time out of the bullpen. Although last year did make over 20 starts with Colorado. Ties up Cano to make it 1-2. We mentioned earlier that tonight marks the end of 16 games in a row for the Mariners. An off day tomorrow. The Mariners 8-7 in those 15 games. And really the numbers, when you look at it for the Mariners, obviously offense has been a problem lately for the Mariners. In those 15 games leading up to tonight, the Mariners hitting just over 200. To Infante for round number 1. I'll take a look at our Delta Airlines keep climbing standings as the Mariners will see the Angels to start the upcoming road trip, and then we will see the Angels again to finish off the homestand before the All-Star break. The Astros just keep crushing home runs. The Rangers getting Adrian Beltre back from the disabled list yesterday, and Josh Hamilton scheduled today to go on his rehab assignment for a hamstring injury with AA Frisco. So they will soon be getting Hamilton back, and Hamilton's been gone for so long and was with the Rangers for such a brief period of time before the injury, and you almost forgot that Hamilton was back with the Texas Rangers.
I agree. He was not with them for very long. Once he was traded over, took him a while to get to the big leagues, and then once he was there, a few good games before he ended up hurting the hamstring. So the Rangers, who have played well, and if he comes back and is healthy, and then you have Beltre back, pretty good lineup with the way that Fritz Fielder has been going this year.
You really look at those 3 big free agent acquisitions by the Angels a few years ago: Pujols, C.J. Wilson, Josh Hamilton. Pujols, who had the problem with plantar fasciitis, had to miss a lot of time a couple of years ago. Well, he is back and leading the American League right now in home runs and having just a sizzling hot month of June. C.J. Wilson, really, there are a few pitchers in the game that it depends on which side of the bed they roll down up more than C.J. Wilson.
Good way to put it.
At times, a complete game shutout. At other times, like in his last start against the Astros just the other day, last night, and absolutely rocked Rios. A low scoop, the catch for round number 2. I'll take another look.
This ball dying in a hurry, and Rios, really a good outfielder, able to close the ground and make the catch.
Two up, two down to Brinson Seager. But I would contend, Mike, that Josh Hamilton will go down as possibly the worst free agent signing in the history of Major League Baseball by the Angels.
Well, when you consider the length of the contract and the amount of dollars involved, I would agree with you.
Well, that they are essentially paying for him to play with the Rangers as Joe Beimel, the Wolverine, will start to warm up. The Rangers are having to eat what essentially amounts to pocket change on the salary of Josh Hamilton. Of course, at the time of the signing for Texas, for Hamilton coming back to the organization from the Angels, the trade, I should say, not the signing, but although it doesn't feel like a trade, it was up and in on Seager. The Rangers were at a point in the season where they needed something to galvanize them. We were there at the end of April, and Texas had just set a franchise record, the worst offensive month in the history of the ball club. And suddenly, although the Rangers had lost 3 in a row entering tonight, they're outside of the Astros by just 4 games.
see if that remains. Again, I think the issues that they have on the pitching side of things, if they end up able to stay over that 500 mark.
Seager a pop-up with 2 outs. Moustakas at number 3, side retired in order. And the Mariners have been sat down 1, 2, 3 in each of the last 3 innings. We're on to the 9th. Joe Bible time. As we take a look at the upcoming matchups after the off day tomorrow, it'll be on to Anaheim. Taijuan Walker has been off the charts good lately. We'll go in game 1 versus Matt Shoemaker, off to a tough start this year after what a rookie performance it was for Shoemaker last season. And then the King, Richards, and Santiago. As we take a look at Joe Beimel.
This will be his 20th appearance on the year, 3.26 ERA. Opponents hitting just .217 against Joe. We'll get the top of the order. Escobar, Moustakas, Morales due up.
For Escobar, 7 hits in this series.
Look at the Angels, Aaron. It was surprising to see Richards with a 3.66 ERA. We were able to see him when we were down in Anaheim earlier, and he looked as if he was all the way back. His fastball, 96, 97 miles an hour. Curious to see what he looks like when we get down to Anaheim.
You're right. That is surprising. Activity of the bullpen from the College World Series to the Major League World Series. What a year it was last season for Brandon Finnegan. Looks like we will see him in the bottom of the 9th. One of the really interesting things that you just don't have any way of knowing about Garrett Richards unless you talk to pitching coach Mike Butcher of the Angels. Richards absolutely loves Felix Hernandez, his favorite pitcher to watch in the game. He is as big of an observer of the King as anyone else in the game. And Richards has told us this himself, but when you talk to Mike Butcher, the longtime pitching coach for Mike Scioscia and the Angels, Butcher tells stories of Richards watching Felix just in the bullpen, watching Felix warm up in between innings and going, how does he do that? He makes that look so easy. And then Butcher,
he does at times.
He does. And Butcher reminds Garrett Richards that he makes 97 and 98 look pretty easy as well. But ultimate respect for the King from both the Angels pitching coach and also Garrett Richards himself. The Angels and Garrett Richards will have a chance to see Felix in Game 3. To Brad Miller, hitting routine ground ball for round number 1. I'll nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag RootFanFave. Each month, one lucky fan will win a Coors Light Refresherator just for participating. For official rules, visit rootsports.com. One up, one down. Here is Mike Moustakas, a 2-run home run back in the 4th. Mike Butcher tells a phenomenal Felix story of when he was the Angels minor league, basically pitching coordinator, the roving pitching instructor, and Tim Salmon, as Moustakas swats this by the pole, and a foul ball. That was close. Tim Salmon, a longtime big leaguer, was on rehab assignment in the minor leagues, and this is when Felix was in the California League in High A with the Mariners. And Butcher goes over to Salmon before his first rehab at bat and says, now Tim, I want to tell you about this, whatever it might have been, 17-year-old kid you're about to see. And Salmon says, why are you telling me about this single A pitcher I'm about to face? And Butcher said, well, Tim, you need to realize that this is not your typical California League pitcher. Salmon said that the first pitch was about 96 for a strike right at his chest, and the next pitch was just a wipeout curve, and then he got him with a fastball, 3 pitches, all strikes, and Salmon had to take a right-hand turn back to the dugout. And he said when he got back to Anaheim, he told everybody, watch out, the Mariners have somebody that's going to be here for a long time. But both Butcher and Tim Salmon, longtime big leaguer, saw the early stages of King Felix.
And it is never fun when you're a veteran, you go out on a rehab assignment, and that's what you're going to see. That's not what you're expecting.
Not at all. We don't often get perspective of minor league version of Felix Hernandez.
No.
That was a fun one to hear.
It wasn't there very long.
That's true. The infield shifted over, and Moustakas picks up a base hit. His second hit tonight.
90-mile-an-hour fastball right on the outside corner. Late swing by Moustakas. As Aaron said, the shift was on, so Kyle Seager was over in the shortstop position. Easy base hit.
One out, one on for Morales. That'll split his bat. Last year when Kendricks came to the Mariners, they gave up Stephen Pryor, hard throwing reliever. And it kind of goes back to a talking point that And we've seen on display all season long the Mariners' ability to draft and develop really quality bullpen arms, which they have used to acquire a wide variety of offensive pieces. Morales won when he rejoined the Mariners last year after beginning the season. Eventually signing, I should say, not beginning the season, but signing with the Twins. You look at the lineup tonight. Logan Morrison coming over for Carter Capps. You see Lomo at first base. Pryor has not been in the big leagues this year for the Twins. Was outrighted the minor leagues at the end of spring training. But Seth Smith
not in the lineup tonight. Brandon Maurer
coming over for Maurer. You see Smith next to Ackley. Gobbled up by Miller. And a double play. That'll do it for the Royals in the top of the ninth. Mariners down to their final 3 outs in the rubber game with Kansas City. Rubber game with this 3-game series. Mariners have a long way to go with 3 outs remaining. 8-2. Kansas City on top. And a new pitcher up on the mound for the Royals. Brandon Finnegan. They all saw Finnegan last year in the postseason. And he's on here for the first time in this series.
His 8th appearance on the year. ERA just over 2. Opponent's hitting 146 against the left-hander.
Finnegan made history last year. He was a first-round pick, 17th overall by Kansas City. Drafted out of TCU in Fort Worth. He became the first pitcher ever to appear in the College World Series and the Major League World Series in the same season.
That is amazing.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Facing Trumbo to begin the bottom of the ninth. What some might find even more incredible is that after pitching incredibly well in the postseason, he was outrighted to Double-A Northwest Arkansas, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals this year to begin the season. Go work on a few things. Finnegan has pitched at 3 different levels this season. Just a couple of innings in Triple-A with Omaha, but started off in Double-A, was called up to the big leagues, and back down to the minors, and now rejoining the Royals. He's ahead of Trumbo. I think it's Trumbo at 96.
Logan Morrison with a 1-for-3 night. Logan with a base hit off of Duffy. It was on a breaking ball, hit it the other way.
2 outs left for the Mariners. You know, Mike, we were talking about the Mariners' ability to draft and develop relievers, and Carter Capps for Logan Morrison. Mark Trumbo, we just saw at the plate. Dominic Leone going over to Arizona. Trading away Yoervis Medina earlier this season as well to the Cubs. And the deal for Wellington Castillo. You can see the TCU necklace there for Finnegan. We were talking about his time in college. He's a native of Fort Worth, so he stayed home to pitch for the Horned Frogs. TCU once again made the College World Series this year, and as we mentioned earlier, congratulations to the University of Virginia for winning it tonight. No doubt John Hicks in AAA with the Mariners. Chris Taylor as well, very happy about that, both from UVA. Same with Danny Holtzen, of course, former first-round draft pick by the Mariners. And last look, Holtzen on the disabled list, a little bit of a shoulder issue. Last pitching in AA on the middle of last month, that last look. That was really one of the highlights of spring training, was seeing Danny Holtzen against the Rockies for that one inning in a soft landing, facing Tulowitzki, the first batter he sees.
I thought the best part about it was his reaction after he came out of the game, and just one, how excited he was to pitch again, and then how relieved he was that it went well. It's been a long time for him, a long road back.
It's like 18 months, if not more than that.
Yeah, he was really excited about it, as he should have been.
Major shoulder surgery for Holtzen. What's so impressive is when you talk to Brad Miller playing at Clemson, Holtzen at UVA. In college, Miller saw the likes of Chris Sale. He saw Harvey. He saw Garrett Cole. And we're talking, he saw a handful of big-time major league pitchers right now, and he said Danny Holtzen was better than all of them. And talk to anybody who played for that Virginia team or played against it, and most would say the same. Lomo to center. Dyson coasted in for round number 2.
Well, hopefully Danny will come to spring training next year competing for a spot in the rotation. I think that's the best thing. I like the fact that the Mariners this year, even though we saw Danny pitch in that one game and he looked really good and pitched in the minor league camp, saying right away he is not going to be here this year. He needs a year to get his feet under him again. I think that was a really good idea. But hopefully in spring next year he'll compete.
And about as likable of a guy as you can find in this game. 2 outs for Zunino. To the gap, right center, base hit. And a 2-hit night for Mike Zunino. Now, Mike, we were talking about this earlier tonight.
Well, he had a base hit in his first at bat, a base hit last night to drive in a run. And you get that base hit your first time up, I think it relaxes you a little bit, takes some pressure off, and you would hope that he would check in with another base hit. So for Mike in tonight's ball game, good to see him go 2 for 4. Start to move forward, build off of something.
Zunino's first multi-hit game since the 28th of last month here at home against the Indians. Here's Miller. Broken back, ground ball to Infante. And that'll be it. The Royals win tonight. They take the series 2 games out of 3. And the Mariners' 8-game homestand comes to a close. 4 wins, 4 losses.
Strange game. Elias cruising through the first 3 innings. In fact, he was perfect. And then after that, the Royals went to work on him. Too many pitches in the middle of the plate. 7 runs in the 4th inning. That's the difference in this ball game.
Big difference it turned out to be. The Royals win it 8-2 the final to finish up the homestand here from Safeco Field. The Mariners post game presented by Delta Airlines starts right now with Brad and Val.
Gentlemen, thank you. So the Royals celebrate a series win here on the road in Seattle. They win it 8-2, like the guys were saying. Val, it's kind of a strange game. Elias cruising. The Royals had lost 6 straight games against left-handed starters. Montgomery Cruz last night, it just wasn't in the cards for Elias in that 4th inning.
It happened really quick because the first 3 innings, he just looked like he was going to be dealing all night long to a team, as you mentioned, just has really struggled against left-handers, but just kind of lost his concentration, started leaving pitches up, out, over. And this is a ball club. When you make mistakes, they make you pay, and they did there in the 4th inning.
Bat around and put up a 7 spot against Elias. All right, so the news before the game, Mariners make a roster move. Franklin Gutierrez is back. You saw him in left field, batting second, selected from Tacoma. You see his numbers there with the Rainiers. Down is James Jones. And early we had a chance to talk to Lloyd about the move. Of course, Franklin Gutierrez about the move. Thrilled to be here. An emotional journey today for Goody.
It means a lot, man. I'm telling you. This is I've been here for a long time. Last year I didn't play at all. And you know, they just signed me back again, some minor league contract, and you know, it was a lot of things going on, and like I said, this is the time I'm here again, and you know, I just want to help my team again.
Well, I mean, obviously he's a right-handed bat. He's been swinging the bat extremely well down there. We felt, you know, with the lefties that we're going to be facing over the next several days, it just made sense to manipulate our roster and bring a guy that can, you know, hopefully help us win ball games.
I feel better. I feel a lot better. I've been working down there in Tacoma. I've been alternating between DHing and playing left field. You know, sometimes I got some days that I'm not really good, but I've been able to play, and you know, it's just part of the game. Some days you're going to feel good, some days you're not, but you're still able to play.
He played and felt good today, Val. Actually got a knock and an RBI, but his first AB, a little pop-up to the second baseman. But again, just thrilled to be back in the majors.
You know, it's a long road for Goody, having to deal with a lot of the health issues. Right here, his little Baltimore chop, showing some good speed right there, as Duffy could not come up with it. Smile to be a little sacrifice fly. You know, I mean, this is a guy who was a pro. He was one of the best offensive players on the Mariners ball club before he ran into all the issues with his illnesses. But good to see him back. Good to see him battle back. And you heard the appreciation that he had in his voice because he was out of the game for so long, worked his way back in AAA, proved that he can play, and he's back in the big leagues. And you could tell the appreciation of that phone call to come back to the big leagues. It was very special.
Yeah, it was nice to hear a guy who sat out all last season, Val, almost quit last year, but want to prove to himself and his family to get back. You root for guys like that, don't you?
Absolutely. You want to see guys like that get that second opportunity, knowing that how hard he has worked to get back in shape, to get his body back to where he could actually go out there and play day in and day out. I don't think he's going to be playing every day here, but they're going to be very careful. But against left-handers, I think he's a bat that they're going to be relying on to help produce some runs, Brad.
And did so tonight, although in an 8-2 defeat. He'll probably get a start against the lefty coming up in Anaheim in that Angels series. Well, the 4th inning's where it all went south tonight for the Mariners. Again, the Royals bat around, and after a leadoff single, Moustakas hit a home run to right field. The fan missed the ball, but he did not. Started the Royals off. They bat around and win 8-2. Mariners postgame continues, presented by Delta Airlines.